Real-Time 1960s presents Evening Report, a complete roundup of today's news with Joe Rubenstein.
Good evening. In London, a health organization releases a report on smoking. In New York, conservatives and liberals stage dueling rallies. In Washington, President Kennedy asks America's friends to do their share. A World War II anniversary is observed, an Oscar nomination is refused, and outfielder Jimmy Piersall speaks out. Those are the headlines. The details after this message.
Got a problem, Hank?
And how? With this trip I've got to make.
I wish I could get out of town.
Not if you had to drive 400 miles and then make 11 calls in 3 days.
Wow.
I'll be driving night and day.
Why don't you fly?
I'll still need a car when I get there. Say, Hertz.
Right. Save time by flying where your business takes you. Then rent from Hertz. You're in business the moment you arrive. You can make all your calls faster, write your own timetable. And with Hertz, you can rent it here, leave it there. Rent a new Chevrolet sedan in one town, leave it at any Hertz station for just a small service charge. Call Hertz or your travel agent to reserve a car anywhere. The low Hertz rate includes insurance, gas, and oil, even if you buy it on the road. When you need a car, remember Hertz.
In London today, the Royal College of Physicians released a grim report linking cigarette smoking with lung cancer and other diseases. Sir Robert Platt, president of the renowned organization, called on the British government to do the following: inform the public on the hazards of smoking, restrict tobacco advertising, strengthen restrictions on the sale of tobacco to children, and increase taxes on cigarettes. Regarding public resistance to the report, Sir Robert said this, quote, "Why is there such reluctance to believe the facts? First of all, because we never like accepting unpleasant facts. Secondly, because very big financial interests are involved. But thirdly, and most importantly, many people who smoke cigarettes want to go on smoking. I would suggest that people in these categories consider the evidence and don't try to pretend that it's not there or it isn't proved," unquote. In downtown London, a young smoker was asked if cigarettes were worth the risk.
I think so, yes. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die, but I might as well enjoy life as it is now.
An older smoker was asked if the report's findings concerned him.
No, I don't think so necessarily, because quite honestly, I think that one's life, at the end of one's life, is probably more in the hands of Almighty God, than in my own hands, or the hands of the tobacco manufacturers.
And finally, a young lady was asked if she would now quit her habit of 10 cigarettes a day.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think I really smoke heavily enough to worry about it too much. I've tried to give it up before, and, well, I find it impossible, for more than a day or two.
For several weeks, tobacco shares on the stock exchange have been falling in anticipation of today's report. Today, a tobacco industry spokesman dismissed the report, claiming that it used old data and contained long-disputed contradictions. In Washington this morning, President Kennedy addressed the 18th annual meeting of the Advertising Council, an organization that promotes national causes. Among the council's current campaigns are the Red Cross, Radio Free Europe, the Smokey the Bear campaign against forest fires, the Peace Corps, and vaccination against polio. Toward the end of his speech, President Kennedy remarked on the great burdens carried by this nation around the world.
Our balance of payments problem would disappear overnight if it were not for the effort which we're making in Europe and other places around the world to permit those areas to maintain their freedom. We are carrying a load in Latin America. We carry a great load in Africa. We carry a great load in Asia, Greece, Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, India, Thailand, Vietnam, China, Republic of China, all the way up to South Korea. And even in those areas where we're joined by others in a consortium, it is the United States that bears by far the major burden, so that we need apologize to none. What we hope is that our example of effort over a period of 15 years since the Marshall Plan will inspire others to join with us, particularly those who are now prosperous, in an effort to permit newly independent states to develop and maintain their independence.
At Madison Square Garden tonight, 18,000 conservatives cheered Republican Senator Barry Goldwater and booed the name of President Kennedy. The rally was coordinated by the 18-month-old Young Americans for Freedom, a conservative youth organization. In his speech, Senator Goldwater proclaimed that conservatism was, quote, "the wave of the future come to life after 30 years of apathy," unquote. Then, Brent Bizzell of the National Review took the stage and issued the following orders, quote, "To the Joint Chiefs of Staff, make the necessary preparations for a landing in Havana. To our commander in Berlin, tear down the wall. To our chief of mission in the Congo, change sides. To the chief of the CIA, encourage liberation movements in every nation of the world under communist domination, including the Soviet Union itself," unquote. Meanwhile, at the St. Nicholas Arena 16 blocks to the north, Democratic Senator Hubert Humphrey addressed a gathering of young liberals. This meeting, called the Stand Up for Democracy rally, started late because half the audience had been picketing the conservatives at the Garden. In his speech, Senator Humphrey declared, quote, "To hear some people talk, you would think the U.S. was flooded with communists, that they were the real menace, not the imperialist Russian leaders," unquote. Shelley Winters made a surprise appearance on stage shortly before Senator Humphrey arrived. Addressing the attendees as kids, the actress said the following, quote, "I'm proud of you. I admire the courage shown by you in recent peace demonstrations. It showed that something will come out of the 1960s other than the twist," unquote. I'll have more news for you after this message.
Ragweed make you sneeze? Aha! Cat make you sneeze? Dust make you sneeze? You've got allergy. You need Allerest. New Allerest calms the cough, the sneeze, the tears, the runny nose, the itchy eye of allergy. Got hay fever? Got an allergy? Get Allerest.
Here again, Joe Rubenstein.
17 years ago today, the U.S. flag was raised on the Ludendorff Bridge in the resort city of Remagen, Germany. American GIs had captured the intact bridge under great peril. Today, a German flag flew alongside the Stars and Stripes at a reunion of Sergeant Joseph Delicio, who helped capture the bridge on March 7, 1945, and some of the German soldiers who had tried to stop the American advance. Sergeant Delicio, now 40, single-handedly cleaned out a machine gun nest in one of the bridge towers that day, for which he won the Distinguished Service Cross. He recalled that action in a recent interview.
"I pushed the door in. There were 5 Germans huddled around a machine gun. Apparently the gun had jammed. I fired a couple of shots, and I yelled, 'Hand hoch,' which in English means hands up. That was about the only German I knew. They spun around and threw their hands up in the air. I took the machine guns and I threw it out the aperture of the tower, showing the boys that the gun had been knocked out and they had nothing to fear from it."
Former President Eisenhower spoke recently on the critical nature of the Battle of Remagen.
From the beginning, our plans had called for the complete isolation and capture of the Ruhr, so as to deprive Germany of that great arsenal manufacture. Well, now, by getting across to the south of the Ruhr at Remagen, and then waiting for the big push to the north of the Ruhr, we made it possible to surround the whole area much more rapidly and much more securely than had we attacked only at one place.
General Eisenhower commended the U.S. soldiers who captured the bridge.
"Every man in the whole command approaching that bridge knew that it was mine, yet without a moment's hesitation. And they rushed the bridge, went across, and there was an attempt to blow it up while they were on it, but there was a faulty fuse or something else of the kind, and that foiled that. But the attack had been so sudden and so unexpected on the part of the Germans that the thing was a complete success. We had losses, true, but they were minor as compared to the great prize that we won."
President Kennedy and British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan apparently hold different views on the conditions for a summit meeting with Soviet Premier Khrushchev. Mr. Macmillan has said that he would attend such a meeting if some progress between East and West had been achieved, or if major points of disagreement had developed. President Kennedy has said he would go only after agreements had been reached by lower-level negotiators. The president was asked about the matter at today's press conference.
"You have said, and I think more than once, that heads of government should not go to the summit to negotiate agreements. Now it's being said and written that you're going to eat those words and go to a summit without any agreement at a lower level. Has your position changed, sir?"
Well, I'm going to have a dinner for all the people who've written it, and we'll see who eats what. Let me say and restate that I would go to the summit, as you've stated, if some agreements had been made which could be climaxed most effectively by a summit meeting. I've also stated at an earlier press conference if I thought a trip to the summit might avert a war, or if we were faced with an extremely dangerous situation, then I would think it would be appropriate to go to the summit without prior agreements. But I think to go to the summit without having an understanding of what's going to be accomplished there, and some meeting of minds, I think, disappoints rather than helps the cause, and that's why I've held the view that I do, and that's why I continue to hold it, and that's why I'm looking forward to the spring.
George C. Scott is one of this year's nominees for the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his portrayal of the vicious gambler in The Hustler. This week, however, the 34-year-old actor sent a telegram to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences declining the honor. It was the first time in the Academy's history this had been done. A member of the Academy, choosing to remain anonymous, said the following, quote, "Despite his withdrawal, Mr. Scott's name will remain on the ballot. If he wins, he can refuse the award, but that is up to him," unquote. Mr. Scott did not reject his nomination 2 years ago for his supporting performance in Anatomy of a Murder. But, he explained this week, his refusal this year was based on the increasingly intense campaigning done by the nominees. Mr. Scott declared that the creative work done by the artists was being overshadowed by this campaigning, adding, quote, "I did not send the telegram out of petulance or impudence. I meant it as a constructive rather than a destructive move." Sports, right after this.
Hello, Tree.
Trees are everybody's friends. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
In Pompano Beach, Florida this week, Washington Senators right fielder Gene Woodling charged that Jimmy Piersall, the club's new center fielder and now their highest salaried player, was getting special privileges. Woodling said that Piersall had asked for his own room, for bedboards, and for meal money instead of eating at the hotel restaurant with the other players, adding, quote, "Who does that guy think he is, Joe DiMaggio? I don't like this prima donna treatment he's getting. It isn't fair to the other players. They're human too," unquote. Piersall said he was stunned by Woodling's charges, adding, quote, "I never asked for special privileges, and I never will. I was given my own room because a psychiatrist advised that I have one. I do not understand why Woodling is teeing off on me. I've always liked him. I admire him very much," unquote. Ed Doherty, general manager of the Senators, also denied Woodling's charge, stating that while Piersall did room alone, it was because, quote, "he's high-strung and would benefit by privacy. Sure, Jimmy asked for bedboards. What's so bad about that? He has a bad back and the boards make him more comfortable. I ask for them myself at every hotel. As for Jimmy asking for meal money, the first night he was here, he was not satisfied with the food and he asked for money to eat out. I told him it couldn't be done. Jimmy didn't argue. Matter of fact, he likes the food at the hotel now," unquote. Piersall's difficulties over the years, both on and off the field, have been well documented. In 1952, after being demoted by the Red Sox to the Birmingham Barons, he suffered a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized. In 1960, after a series of on-the-field incidents while playing for the Indians, he was ordered by the team doctor to undergo psychiatric treatment. Piersall is coming off one of his best years, earning his second Gold Glove and finishing third in the 1961 batting race with a .322 average. In a recent interview, Piersall was asked about the needling he often gets from fans.
I have been told many times that this was going to happen by people, and I sort of adjusted myself to the fact. And most of the time it's done by people who are home fans, where we're visiting ball players and they want to see us, their team win and want to see us lose. So I take it all in stride and try to pay not too much attention to them. At times I do. I'm human if things are not going too well. But overall, I think I can cope with it now.
He discussed an episode at Yankee Stadium last September when two fans charged onto the field and went after him.
Yes, Mickey Mantle came out. That was the day when these two fans ran out on the field, and he sort of gave me that added courage because when I saw him coming, I knew I didn't have too much to worry about, and it was quite a exciting day for me to also see the own players on my own club come out there, where many times things have been written by certain writers in Cleveland that ball players on the club that disliked me and they didn't care too much for me, and same way with the visiting team. And to see them both out there proved one point that I think any ball player would help another in case of danger.
Finally, Piersall, now 32, reflected on that future day when he'll finally have to hang up his spikes for good.
I think I can adjust to what has to happen. I don't try to get myself all upset about what's going to happen, because once I do, that's what hurts me more. I used to worry about the future all the time. Well, now I have a little security. I'm getting a pretty good salary, thank God, and if I just take care of myself and my family, I think God will take care of me.
And that, for this evening, completes our look at the latest news on this Wednesday, March 7th, 1962. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day tomorrow.
This has been your Evening Report, a roundup of the latest news with Joe Rubenstein.